Welcome back, everybody, to another thrilling episode of Thrive Street Program with Coach 2J. This is your host, Jeremy Jones, and today we're going to talk about going unbroken on the Metcon as long as possible, and as part of our mental toughness training, as well as some tips on back squats. So for mental toughness, again, this is one of my favorite things to do on a mental toughness day is to not pace or to, like I said, go unbroken on the Metcon. And so today's workouts, not crazy sets. If they came in the day before and did the Filthy 50, they're going to be pretty beat up and sore today. So just make sure people, I'm comfortable putting these squats afterward because we are using a pretty light weight. Remember with the back squats, we're at 70 to 80%. The box squats will be about 20% less. So we're looking at 50 to 60% of their max back squat. We don't really test the max box squat. I don't feel that it's a useful thing to do, useful way to spend our time. But so it should be fairly light. Now we are doing sets of 4 and it's 6 sets, so that is going to be aggressive, but people are going to be tired after that. But the one thing about the Filthy 50 is there isn't a whole lot of the squatting pattern. There is 50 wall balls, but it's not excessively heavy or high volume squatting workout, so people should be doing okay. But then we go into the Metcon, and now we've got 5 rounds. We're going to be doing 10 front squats, some dumbbell hang power snatches, and then some single unders. Just kind of break up these other 2 movements and keep people's heart rates up. And now we want people to try to go as unbroken. Now, if they mess up on their jump rope, there's a difference between tripping up and then deliberately resting to pace the workout out. Now, if we're testing mental toughness, if they trip up and they just go right back in the next set, that's what we mean, is just trying to not deliberately stop the workout. So this is how a lot of people do Metcons, and it's not recommended for day in, day out training. Now, but it is still a good thing to practice and experiment with so that we can understand our limits and our boundaries. If we take this as as a way to just see what we're made of, a lot of times people may get a reality check and realize, wow, I shouldn't be going unbroken as much as I am. I was crushed. Or they may, hey, I actually could go bigger sets. Or go unbroken more than I realized because I'm fitter than I used to be. So again, kind of testing our limits is one of the things that the mental toughness is about. So we got our Novo kettlebell warm-up flow. This is one of those ones where, again, you want to do this with the class, but go ahead and have people start this on their own before class. They should. We do this one about once a month, and so it's regular enough to where people should be able to do it on their own. Except for you may have a few new people. I always recommend having new people pair. If it's their first few months at the gym, you're always partnering them up. As soon as you see them, you grab them a partner, someone that they're gonna get along with, or someone that they have something in common with, and you're gonna introduce them and that way they get to know people. It's really a good way to get introduced into the community. Kind of makes the person who is the existing member, the veteran or whatever you want to call it, feel a little, gives them a little bit of a ego boost, because you're saying, hey, what's going on, can you help this person out and show them the ropes a little bit? Kind of gives them a little bit of status, if you will. But then you can go around and make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, and not have to spend all your time with the new people. But then have them do that before class. They show up early, but then you want to take everyone through this. Now this warm-up flow, when done as a group, it should still only take about 5 to 7 minutes, even spending some time teaching each movement. So it still shouldn't take too long. Even if you did a full two rounds of this as it's written. And of course you can speed things up or take things out if you need to shorten it more. Then we're going to do some hip mobility, and then so think about that sort of activation. We are doing squats today, so kind of helping people with getting into the proper positioning when they're squatting. Not a ton of static stretching, but doing positional work or even activation work for the squats. One of my favorite things to do is those Jones squats or hip circles or expand walks to kind of activate those muscles in the hip. They're going to help the knees track over the foot and create that torque that we want to see so that the knees go out. If I were to try to draw this, what we want to see is, we don't want to see, if this is the bottom of the foot, we don't want to see the knees go outside of the foot, right? So we're going excessively out here, and the foot coming up. If the foot is flat, a little bit of knee outside of the ankle is going to be fine. But what we're really trying to do is, if we're looking down from the top, we just want to see that external torque where they're trying to rotate the foot out, right? So that this is their toes, and they're creating that torque so that the knee tracks over over the ankle, and again, a little bit on the outside is good, but the whole foot, we want to have those 3 points of contact, right? So right at the knuckle under the big toe, or the big toe, this outer corner of the foot, and the heel, all of these 3 points of contact, that tripod is we have equal force pushing down on that, so we're using our whole foot. And then we can do that by doing those X-band walks and those things where we activate the right muscles. And then, since we are still early on in the strength focus, again, spend a little bit more time coaching the movements and making sure people are, going into the strength focus with the proper loads and the proper technique, corrections that they should be focusing on. As we get into the later weeks, like 3, 4, and 5, we don't have to spend as much time coaching the basics or the overall stuff. We can go around and give more specific coaching cues to each person, which is one of the benefits of the strength focus, is that we can go into a little bit more detail because we've repeated it so often. And then, of course, as a reminder too, with single arm ring rows, this is a strength movement. So we just want to make sure people aren't going through the motions, that they are making these hard. So at the end of 6 sets of 6, it should be a challenge, right? Whatever angle that they put their bodies at, it should be a challenge by the end of those 6 sets. All right, so the Golden Boy, which is a boxing reference because it has jump rope in it. 10 front squats. Again, you can use the barbell or with the dumbbells. With the dumbbells, we've got a few extra reps per round. Then we're going to go into dumbbell hang power snatches. Obviously, this is one arm. That's why it says alternate hands as desired. I'm not big on requiring right and left. I do it sometimes, but again, the point of this workout is to create intensity and challenge the whole body's metabolic systems. And so it's good to have right and left requirements, but if somebody has an issue, especially with things like going overhead, then they can kind of favor one arm, and it's going to prevent injury. Now, we don't want to let them get away with that forever. Obviously, if they do 10 reps on one arm or 12 reps on one arm and 4 on the other, there's a conversation there, right? You need to figure out what's going on. Why can't this person use their other arm properly? Because if they haven't started doing rehab or going to the doctor, they need to, right? We need to try. It's our job as coaches to make people eat their vegetables and do the things that they need to do to be better. Now, if they have a permanent injury, they can't use it. They can still do this workout, but they know that that it's not ideal. But at the same time, they don't have to feel like, oh, I can never do these workouts as prescribed or whatever because I can't do it with my left arm. Instead they can still say they did the workout RX if they use the proper prescription or whatever. And then we got single unders or crossovers. Crossovers are, of course, when we crisscross the arms and uncross the arms. And just as a reminder, so every time the rope goes under the feet, that counts as a rep. So if their first rep is a normal single under, that's 1 rep, and then they cross their arms and do the rope under the feet. That's 2 reps. Uncross, that's 3 reps. Cross, that's 4 reps. So they get a little bit of a reward if they can do this more complex movement, and so they can go a little bit faster, right? So we want to reward people who have been practicing their jump ropes and have mastered the skill. But of course, as they get tired, they can just go back to single unders, so they can still get the intensity of the workout, and we're not subjecting them to excessive frustration. I should name a workout that, excessive frustration. We got a team version here, team workout Tuesdays. We see the team workouts show up on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So again, if you want to have kind of a more fun team atmosphere, you can incorporate that. We did this one back in April of last year. It's a little bit longer of a Metcon, but we are closer to the beginning of the strength focus. So again, we're including a little bit longer Metcons, a little bit more volume. It's one of the reasons why we have that in there. And also just trying to not do 7-minute AMRAPs every single time we lift. So people don't complain about that. But I did add a cash out here. This is really good. If people didn't come in on the previous day to do a long Metcon, then they can always come in and do a little extra if they want to, if they feel like they need a little bit more stimulus that day. But that's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot, and thrive on.